Have you ever wondered why some people break free from the rat race while others run faster but stay stuck in the same loop? What if the real reason isn't hard work, but hidden money rules no one ever taught you? This question matters because most people spend their whole lives following a system designed to keep them dependent. Yet a few uncover the rules that set them free. Which side will you choose? Hello, this is Earl Nightingale. Today, I want to speak to you about a subject that shapes the direction of nearly every life on this planet, the rat race. Most people run in it without ever questioning how they got there, why they stay there, or what it truly costs them. But the moment you begin to examine the rules of money, those quiet, unwritten principles that govern success, you open the door to a freedom most never discover. Let's begin that journey together. Most people begin their financial lives the same way they begin their ordinary routines, by accepting what is placed in front of them without a moment's question. From childhood, we inherit a system that appears complete, a pattern of going to school, getting a job, earning a salary, paying bills, and hoping that somehow, someday, it will all add up to freedom. Yet freedom never comes through a system designed only to maintain motion, not progress. And so the vast majority continue moving, faster and harder each year, without ever stopping to examine the very path they're on. The first great step toward escaping the rat race is the simple but courageous act of questioning the system you were taught. We must ask ourselves who designed it, who benefits from it, and more importantly, is it truly leading us where we want to go? The world rarely pauses to tell us that the system was never built to produce wealth for everyone. It was built to produce predictability. It rewards compliance more often than creativity and stability more often than possibility. And so most people, without realizing it, trade the adventure of their lives for the comfort of a pattern they never chose. But questioning the system does something remarkable. It interrupts the automatic pilot. It forces you to look at your daily actions with new eyes. You begin to realize that the beliefs you accepted as facts may only be habits. You start to see that the rules you follow may not be laws, but traditions. And once you understand this, the world begins to open. A person who questions the system stops living by default and starts living by design. This questioning isn't rebellious, it is responsible. It is the act of an individual who refuses to spend a lifetime running, only to discover at the end that they never left the starting circle. It means you refuse to assume that a paycheck, no matter how consistent, guarantees security. It means you no longer accept the idea that working harder is the only answer, when in truth, working smarter often produces far greater results. It means you challenge the belief that success is limited to those already born into advantage, recognizing instead that success belongs to those who understand its principles. When you question the system, you begin to notice the small cracks in the structure, moments when the world tells you that something isn't quite right. You see people who have worked for decades still unable to retire comfortably. You see individuals who have given their best years to a company suddenly replaced or downsized. You witness the extraordinary rise of those who dared to think differently, to learn differently, to act differently. And in these observations, you find the truth: the rat race continues only when you accept the race as your only option. The moment you begin to question, you take the first step toward freedom. You become the author of your own financial story. You start searching for knowledge, for principles that the average person never stops long enough to learn. And in doing so, you set your life on a new trajectory, one shaped not by tradition, but by intention. Most people spend their entire lives working for money, never realizing that the true key to escaping the rat race is to make money work for them. You see, there is a profound difference between income and assets, a difference so significant that it separates those who merely survive from those who achieve genuine financial freedom. Income is what you earn by trading your time, your effort, your presence. Assets are what continue to earn even when you are resting, thinking, traveling, or dedicating your hours to the things that truly matter. And yet, very few people are ever taught this distinction. From childhood, we're encouraged to pursue income. Get a job, earn a salary, increase that salary, and if possible, hold on long enough to secure a pension or retirement fund. But nowhere, in the standard path of education, does anyone sit us down and explain the importance of assets. No one says, look, income ends the moment you stop working. Assets continue long after you do. The average individual spends decades chasing promotions and raises, believing that a higher income guarantees a better life. But the truth is, without assets, even the highest income becomes a treadmill, fast, exhausting, but ultimately stationary. Understanding the difference between income and assets begins by recognizing the fundamental limitation of time. There are only so many hours in a day, only so much energy one can expend, and only so far one can push themselves before the body demands rest. But an asset, whether it's a business, a property, an investment, or a skill that generates revenue, does not share those limitations. It does not sleep, grow tired, or request permission. It continues its steady work, day after day, quietly building your future. The most successful individuals in the world, those who have truly escaped the rat race, share one common trait. They prioritize owning assets over collecting paychecks. They understand that freedom is not purchased through labor alone, but through leverage. They know that the real question is not, how much do I earn? But what continues to earn when I don't? This shift in understanding changes everything. It alters the way you spend, the way you save, and the way you invest. It transforms your relationship with money from one of dependency to one of command. When you begin to focus on building assets, something remarkable happens. You stop feeling trapped by the limits of your income. You no longer rely solely on your job for survival. You begin to experience a sense of stability that no employer, no paycheck, and no position can provide. You realize that wealth is not measured by the hours you work, but by the systems you build that continue working whether you are present or not. To escape the rat race, you must make this shift. Move your mind from income to assets. See money not as a reward for effort, but as a tool to build something that lasts. Once you grasp this principle, your relationship with work, time, and life itself will never be the same again. Most people never stop to consider the simple truth that keeps them locked in the rat race. They continue trading their time for money, believing it is the only way to earn a living. Yet time is the most precious resource we have. It cannot be stretched, stored, borrowed, or bought back. Once a day is gone, it's gone forever. And so long as a person ties their earning power to the ticking of the clock, freedom will always remain just out of reach. From our earliest years, we're conditioned to think in hours and wages. Work 8 hours, get paid for 8 hours. Work more, earn more. Rest less, succeed more. It is a formula so deeply woven into the fabric of society that few ever question it. And yet, this formula is precisely what keeps millions sprinting on a treadmill that never moves forward. The tragedy is not that people work hard, it's that they work hard in a system where hard work alone cannot produce lasting freedom. To escape the rat race, one must first recognize that time, for money thinking is a trap disguised as security. It offers predictability but rarely progress. It gives comfort but seldom opportunity. It keeps a person busy, sometimes very busy but rarely free. The individuals who rise above average results are not necessarily the ones who work the longest hours, but those who discover ways to separate their income from their time. This shift begins with a change in thinking. Instead of asking, how much can I earn for my hours? We must ask, how can I create value that continues to earn without me? Value is the great multiplier. A person's time is finite, but the value they create can be infinite. A book, a business, an investment, an idea once built, once established, continues to produce returns long after the initial effort is complete. Consider the difference between a person who works for a wage and one who builds a system. The first must show up every day to earn. The second earns even when they don't show up at all. The first depends on effort. The second depends on structure. This, more than anything else, shapes the difference between those who feel trapped by their responsibilities and those who feel empowered by their choices. Breaking free means stepping out of the mindset of mere labor and into the mindset of leverage. It means looking beyond tasks and hours and toward opportunities and systems. It requires understanding that your greatest earning potential lies not in how much you can do, but in what you can design, what you can build, and what you can set in motion. The moment you stop trading time for money, your life begins to shift. You reclaim your days, your energy, and your direction. You move from survival to strategy, from reaction to creation. And in that moment, the rat race loses its grip, not because you ran faster, but because you stepped off the track entirely. Most people are taught from childhood that hard work is the master key to success. Work longer, work harder, and eventually life will reward you. But if hard work alone guaranteed financial freedom, the world's hardest workers would be its wealthiest citizens. Yet we know that is rarely the case. There is a missing ingredient, a silent force that separates effort from achievement, and that force is financial literacy. Knowledge, specific, practical, usable knowledge, determines the direction and quality of one's financial life far more than effort ever will. You see, the world rewards the individual who understands how money behaves, grows, how it moves, and how it can be leveraged. Hard work may earn a living, but knowledge earns a fortune. And the tragedy is that most people receive no real financial education at all. They are taught arithmetic, history, geography, and literature, but seldom the principles that govern wealth. School teaches us how to earn money, but rarely how to keep it, multiply it, or allow it to work independently of our labor. The consequences of this missing knowledge are seen everywhere. People earn a paycheck and immediately spend it, not understanding the power hidden within the dollars they discard. They save what's left, if anything, without knowing how money compounds, how inflation erodes, or how investments build. They borrow without understanding cost, invest without understanding risk, and plan without understanding time. And so they move through life working diligently, yet always feeling a step behind, confident in their work ethic, but unsure of their financial direction. Financial literacy is not complicated. It simply requires awareness. It begins with understanding the basic laws of money, that money must be given purpose, that assets grow while liabilities drain, that debt can either imprison or empower, and that investing is not gambling, but a disciplined process guided by patience and informed judgment. Once you understand these principles, the fog begins to lift. You stop relying on luck, chance, or circumstance. You stop hoping for raises and start designing streams. You stop fearing financial decisions and begin approaching them with clarity. The person who understands money no longer sees it as something scarce, but as something responsive to mindset, responsive to structure, responsive to direction. Knowledge transforms money from a taskmaster into a tool. It allows you to move from labor to leverage, from dependence to independence. It enables you to make choices that compound over time, silently building your future with every informed decision you make. Hard work has its place. It builds character, discipline, and resilience. But without financial literacy, it becomes a hamster wheel, constant motion without meaningful advancement. When knowledge joins effort, something extraordinary happens every hour you work, every dollar you earn, and every choice you make begins contributing to a future that grows clearer, larger, and more attainable. The moment you choose to master financial literacy, you step into a world where money becomes an ally rather than an obstacle. You gain the power to shape your financial destiny, not by working harder, but by understanding more. Most people live with the quiet fear that if their job were taken away tomorrow, their entire life would collapse. This fear exists for one simple reason. They rely on a single stream of income, a single paycheck, a single source of security. And anything with only one point of support is fragile. Yet this is the financial structure most people build their lives upon: one salary, one employer, one hope. It is no wonder the rat race feels inescapable. The system was never designed to give you freedom, only continuity. Creating multiple streams of income is not merely a financial strategy. It is a mindset, a shift from dependence to independence. It means refusing to place your entire future in the hands of one source. It means understanding that true security comes not from a job, but from options. When you have only one income, you are forced to accept whatever conditions, limitations, and pressures accompany it. But when you create additional streams, no matter how small, you reclaim your leverage. You move from the position of needing to the position of choosing. It's important to understand that additional income streams don't appear overnight. They begin as seeds, the small, simple, sometimes modest ventures that grow with care and consistency. A skill you monetize, an investment you cultivate, a business you develop, a property you acquire, or a digital asset you create. Each stream, no matter how unremarkable at the beginning, represents a step away from dependence and a step toward freedom. The people who break free from the rat race are not necessarily the most talented or the most fortunate. They are the ones who refuse to settle for a single source of income. They build, piece by piece, a financial structure that stands even if one support falls away. This is not extraordinary, it is deliberate. It requires the same time most people spend worrying about security, but used instead to create it. You see, Most individuals dedicate their best years to a job that gives them one financial channel, and then spend the rest of their lives hoping that channel never dries up. But hope is a weak foundation for a strong future. Multiple income streams provide strength, resilience, and peace of mind. They allow you to step back, to breathe, to plan, to think. They give you the power to walk away from environments that drain you, knowing your survival does not hinge on one paycheck. When you begin creating multiple streams of income, something remarkable happens. The rat race loses its grip. You no longer feel trapped by a schedule or controlled by a salary. You begin to experience the early signs of financial independence, not wealth, not extravagance, but freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from knowing you are not tied to one outcome, one employer, or one lane. The truth is simple: one stream keeps you surviving. Many streams allow you to thrive. Build them patiently, intentionally, and intelligently. For every new stream you create, you gain a little more time, a little more peace, and a little more control over the direction of your life. Most people believe that financial freedom begins with earning more money. They assume that if their income rises, their life will naturally improve. Yet countless individuals with impressive salaries live under constant financial pressure, while others with modest earnings manage to build comfort, security, and even wealth. The difference is not the money itself. It is the mindset governing that money. Freedom is created in the space between what you earn and what you keep, and that space can only be widened by discipline, awareness, and intention. You see, expenses are like water. They will expand to fill whatever container you give them. If a person earns more, their lifestyle often rises to match it. They begin to spend on comforts, conveniences, distractions, and impulses, all of which feel harmless at the moment, but collectively form invisible chains that bind them to their next paycheck. Before they know it, every raise becomes absorbed, every bonus disappears, and every increase in income only tightens the grip of the lifestyle they've built. To escape the rat race, you must learn to control your expenses and upgrade your mindset, not by living in deprivation, but by living in awareness. When you begin to see money not as a tool for immediate pleasure, but as a resource with compounding power, your decisions shift. You stop spending to impress others and start spending to strengthen your future. You begin to understand that every dollar you keep has the potential to become a worker, an employee whose job is to earn more dollars for you. Controlling expenses does not mean denying yourself a good life. It means refusing to sabotage your future for the sake of momentary comfort. It means knowing the difference between wants and whims, between value and vanity. It means understanding that financial discipline is not restriction, it is liberation. The person who controls their expenses controls their destiny. They walk with a steadiness, a quiet confidence, because they know their life is not dependent on the next paycheck. But the true transformation lies in upgrading your mindset. A mind shaped by scarcity spends impulsively, anxiously, reactively. A mind shaped by purpose spends intentionally, strategically, and calmly. It sees beyond the present moment and plans for the years ahead. It values growth over gratification, stability over status, and long-term gain over short-term thrill. This mindset shift is what separates the financially free from the financially trapped. It is what allows a person to break the cycle of working merely to afford the life they've built. For when your expenses are under your command, your income, even if modest, begins to feel abundant. You realize that wealth is not determined solely by what flows into your life, but by what stays, by what you control, by how you think. The moment you master your expenses and elevate your mindset, you take back your life from the rat race. You move from reaction to intention, from dependence to direction, and with every wise decision, your future grows a little brighter, a little freer, and a little more your own. Most people go through life believing that wealth is a matter of luck, timing, or extraordinary talent. They see successful individuals and assume they possess something rare, some advantage the average person could never claim. Yet the truth is far simpler, far quieter, and far more attainable. Wealth grows by a law as old as time itself: consistent, intelligent investing. Money, when guided with patience and purpose, has a remarkable ability to multiply. But most people never experience this because they never give their money the chance to grow. For years, individuals work tirelessly, earning and spending, never realizing they could enlist their money into service. They labor every day, while their dollars remain idle, untrained, unused, unproductive. But the person who understands even the basic principles of investing unlocks a force that works tirelessly, quietly, and endlessly on their behalf. You see, money behaves like a seed. It contains within it the potential to grow, to branch, to multiply, if only it is planted. And just as a seed cannot flourish if constantly dug up, money cannot grow if constantly spent. The greatest fortunes in history were not built through sudden windfalls or lucky breaks, but through steady, disciplined investing. A little repeated often becomes a lot. This is not magic, it is the nature of growth. Investing early is one of the most powerful decisions a person can make, for time is the greatest partner money can have. A dollar invested at 20 has a lifetime to expand. A dollar invested at 40 still carries strength, but a dollar never invested has no power at all. Most people wait for the right moment, a moment that never comes, because the right moment is always now, wherever you happen to be. But investing requires more than participation, it requires intelligence. Intelligent investing is not gambling or speculation. It is not chasing trends, reacting to fear, or relying on the advice of the loudest voice in the room. It is the quiet discipline of placing your money where it can grow steadily and securely. It is understanding risk, studying opportunity, and allowing time to do what effort alone cannot. The person who invests consistently, even modestly, begins to feel a shift in their financial life. Where once they felt dependent on their job, they now feel supported by something greater, a growing foundation beneath their feet. Their money begins to work for them, even when they are sleeping, resting, or simply living. This is the beginning of true financial independence. Most people underestimate what small investments, repeated over years, can become. They fail to see that each dollar invested is not a cost, but a worker, one that never tires, never sleeps, never demands time off. And with each new investment, your team of workers grows stronger, more loyal, more productive. To escape the rat race, you must allow money to become your partner rather than your pursuit. Invest early, invest consistently, invest intelligently. And soon, your future will no longer depend solely on your hands, but on the quiet, compounding force working faithfully behind the scenes, shaping a life of freedom, security, and lasting abundance. The marketplace rewards value, not effort. It is a principle as old as commerce itself, yet few people truly understand it. Most individuals believe that success comes simply from showing up, putting in hours, and doing their best. While effort is important, it is the value you create that determines the rewards you receive. This is the crucial distinction between those trapped in the rat race and those who break free. The difference between being busy and being indispensable. Think for a moment about the people you admire most in life, the ones who are highly successful, who seem to move through challenges with ease. What sets them apart is not merely their labor, but the skills, knowledge, and abilities they bring to the table. They possess capabilities that others need, that others cannot easily replace, and that the marketplace gladly compensates at a premium. The more unique and in demand your skills, the greater your freedom. Most individuals, unfortunately, spend their lives developing habits rather than skills. They work diligently, but within the narrow confines of their current position. They complete tasks, follow procedures, and comply with rules, yet rarely expand their abilities. As a result, their earning potential remains capped, their influence limited, and their financial freedom postponed. The marketplace rewards value, not business. You can be working harder than everyone around you, but if the market does not recognize what you bring, your efforts yield little in return. The key, then, is to build skills that increase your value continuously. Learning is not optional, it is a requirement. Technical skills, problem-solving abilities, creativity, leadership, communication, and financial literacy are all assets that multiply your worth. And the marketplace is always willing to pay handsomely for skills that solve problems, generate results, or improve lives. The more you focus on cultivating your value, the more independent and powerful you become. Developing valuable skills also creates leverage. When your abilities are exceptional, you are no longer bound to a single employer, a single job, or a single source of income. You become sought after, able to command higher pay, better terms, and multiple opportunities. This is how one begins to escape the rat race, by being irreplaceable in some way, not just present in the office. The process is deliberate and requires patience. It is not enough to learn one thing. You must continually expand, refine, and adapt. The world changes rapidly, and what was valuable yesterday may be commonplace tomorrow. By committing to constant growth, you ensure that your value grows ahead of the market, giving you a competitive edge that no job security, no salary, and no luck can provide. Ultimately, escaping the rat race is about becoming a person whose abilities and contributions command freedom. By building skills that increase your value, you create leverage, opportunity, and security. You move from dependence to choice, from business to significance. And when your value aligns with the needs of the world, the rewards follow naturally, allowing you to live life not according to the clock, but according to your vision. One of the most overlooked secrets of financial freedom and escaping the rat race lies not in money, work, or timing, but in the company you keep, the people you surround yourself with. Your peers, mentors, colleagues, and friends shape not only your mindset, but also the limits of what you consider possible. If your circle is content with mediocrity, your vision is likely constrained. If your circle is ambitious, informed, and disciplined, your potential expands. This is not coincidence, it is cause and effect, plain and simple. Humans are social creatures. We absorb beliefs, habits, and attitudes from those around us, often without conscious awareness. When you spend time with individuals who complain, make excuses, or accept life as it comes, those patterns seep into your thinking. Your goals shrink, your standards drop, and your courage wanes. Conversely, when you engage with growth-minded people, those who read, learn, invest, take calculated risks, and pursue meaningful goals, you adopt their energy and their perspective. Their behaviors become a model for your own, and your mind begins to expand to accommodate new possibilities. The marketplace is filled with people who chase money but never understand it, people who work long hours but never achieve freedom, people who follow patterns designed for dependence. If your circle consists primarily of these individuals, it is unlikely that you will break free. Success rarely happens in isolation. It is cultivated through exposure to ideas, practices, and habits that elevate thinking. The more time you spend with those who understand the rules of wealth, who challenge their own limitations, who constantly seek to improve, the more likely you are to adopt the mindset that allows money to work for you instead of you working endlessly for money. But choosing your circle requires conscious effort. It means identifying relationships that drain rather than empower. It means respectfully stepping away from environments that reinforce fear, doubt, and complacency. It means actively seeking out mentors, advisors, and peers who inspire confidence, creativity, and action. These are the individuals who encourage you to learn, to experiment, and to grow not merely through words, but through example. The truth is simple: your financial, emotional, and intellectual life is largely a reflection of the people you allow to influence you. Escape from the rat race is rarely a solo journey. It is nurtured through association with individuals who expand your understanding of money, opportunity, and success. Their habits, insights, and discipline become your own, often faster and more effectively than any formal education or experience could provide. Surrounding yourself with growth-minded people also creates accountability. They challenge you when you waver, motivate you when you hesitate, and celebrate your progress in ways that reinforce persistence and courage. Freedom is not achieved by working harder than everyone else. It is achieved by thinking differently, making smarter decisions, and leveraging the guidance and inspiration of those who have already walked the path. In the end, your circle either accelerates your escape or keeps you running in place. To break free, you must deliberately choose the company that shapes you into a person capable of earning, growing, and thinking at levels far beyond the ordinary. Your freedom, ultimately, is a reflection of the minds around you and the mind you cultivate in yourself. Most people live their lives reacting to circumstances rather than shaping them. They follow schedules, obey routines, and hope that somehow, by complying, their lives will improve. But freedom, true financial freedom, the kind that allows you to escape the rat race, does not come from following a path laid out by others. It comes from designing a vision bigger than your job, a vision that gives purpose to every action, every decision, and every resource you commit. Without such a vision, work becomes motion without direction, effort becomes busy work, and money becomes a fleeting reward rather than a tool for growth. A vision is not a vague hope or wish. It is a precise picture of the life you intend to create. It defines what freedom looks like, what financial independence means, and what success feels like on your own terms. Without this clarity, it is all too easy to become trapped in the endless cycle of earning, spending, and working, never noticing that the structure you built for survival is the very cage keeping you in place. When your vision is strong, it acts as a compass, guiding every choice and shaping every strategy. It allows you to work not for survival, but toward an outcome far greater than the confines of a paycheck. Most people are enslaved not by their jobs, but by a lack of vision. They measure life in hours, salaries, and deadlines rather than purpose, growth, and opportunity. The moment you define a vision larger than your job, your priorities shift. Time spent becomes an investment in progress, money becomes a resource for growth, and effort becomes purposeful action. You no longer follow the direction of the crowd. You chart your own course, intentionally and deliberately. A powerful vision also allows you to see beyond immediate obstacles. The rat race thrives on short-term thinking, on the illusion that effort equals reward today. But when you hold a clear vision of your future, you understand that temporary sacrifices, disciplined learning, and strategic investments are merely stepping stones toward a much larger goal. You begin to recognize opportunities others miss because they are too focused on the day-to-day grind. You think in terms of leverage systems and compounding effect rather than hours worked and tasks completed. Moreover, a compelling vision attracts resources and allies. People are drawn to those who know where they are going and why. Mentors, collaborators, and investors are far more willing to support someone with a clear plan than someone reacting to circumstances. A vision acts like a magnet, creating momentum that propels you forward even when challenges arise. Ultimately, freedom is never accidental. It is designed, pursued, and nurtured through clarity of purpose. Escaping the rat race requires more than knowledge, skills, or even financial discipline. It requires a vision bigger than the limitations of your current position. With such a vision, you move from reaction to action, from survival to strategy, and from dependence to independence. The life you desire begins not with the next paycheck, but with the next thought, the next decision, and the commitment to a vision that elevates everything you do. When your vision is bigger than your job, you no longer live to work, you work to live, and the life you design becomes a reflection of your imagination, your courage, and your determination. As we draw this journey to a close, remember this: escaping the rat race is not about luck, shortcuts, or sheer effort. It is about awareness, knowledge, and intentional action. It begins by questioning the system that confines you, understanding the difference between income and assets, and refusing to trade your precious time for mere money. It grows through mastering financial literacy, creating multiple streams of income, controlling expenses, investing wisely, building skills that increase your value, surrounding yourself with growth-minded people, and designing a vision far greater than any job. Each principle we've discussed is a tool, a key to unlock the cage of dependence and routine. Taken together, they form a roadmap from limitation to freedom, from survival to choice, from effort to leverage. The rat race only persists as long as you believe it is inevitable. Once you apply these rules, you shift from running in place to moving toward your own life on your own terms. Freedom is not a distant dream. It is a result of deliberate decisions, consistent learning, and courageous action. The choice is yours to remain a passenger in a system designed for predictability, or to take the wheel and navigate toward independence. Step forward with knowledge, discipline, and vision, and you will discover that the path to escaping the rat race is not only possible, it is waiting for those bold enough to claim it. Your life is yours to design. Your future is yours to create. And the principles we've explored today are your blueprint for building a life of purpose, security, and lasting freedom.